up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for September 18th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the podcast. Happy Hump Day to everyone out there. Before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping notes. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and help spread the word. Definitely growing this thing. Lots of fun. We're having lots of good things coming up on the horizon, so stay tuned for that. So spread the word, spread the love. If you're listening and enjoying it, let someone else know and have them check it out as well. And make sure they subscribe to the YouTube channel and then leave comments and reviews and all of that other good stuff because it all helps the algorithm out. Check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, doing great things for baseball and football over there. This week should be an interesting one on the OG NFC East one. Excuse me. Phillies Mets recap coming up on the baseball one, so should be a good time. They're doing great things. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then go check out Philly GOAT. I think after last Monday's Eagles game, the most appropriate shirt to have is I have a toxic relationship with Philly sports. I think we all do. So go check that out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. They have all your election needs covered too. A lot of fun shirts over there for the election, even some hats. So go check that out. They have I think it's hilarious, and it's gonna probably annoy a lot of people, which sometimes I think when it comes to politics I'm all for, but make October red again hats. So go check out Philly GOAT. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order, and that's phillygoat.com. All right, so let's kind of recap and put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak, on this Eagles-Falcons game. And give a huge shout out to our friend Matt from Fort Washington, who called into the Back to the Future voice and text line and kind of set me straight. Reminded me that all through the past year or so, we've been talking about new Philly versus old Philly mentality. And I definitely came on very doom and gloom, old school Philly yesterday. And he's right. He said we were playing without A.J. Brown. 100%, that did make a difference. I think the offense is going to miss him. And there were times, one of the good things about our seats being so high up in the stadium is you get to see a lot of things with formations and plays developing. And I don't know if this was on Devontae, if it was on Jalen, if it was on Kellen Moore, or who really should take the blame for this. But I don't think they took advantage of what the Falcons defense was giving them. And maybe the Falcons were disguising it. I don't know, but it seemed like almost every play, after the play started and Devontae would run his route, like the safeties were kind of committing toward like the other side of the field with Britton Covey and Jahan Dotson that side. So I felt every single play almost. If Devontae just kind of faked, because he kind of was doing a lot of cross and curls, if he kind of just faked that and then shot, and the deep ball was there every time. So hopefully they are able to see what I saw, because I was basically talking to the pilot of the Goodyear blimp. That's how high our seats are. But in all seriousness, I felt that was there multiple times, and they did not take advantage of it. So I don't know if that's on Devontae for not noticing it. Maybe it was me for having too many Miller Lights and thinking I saw something that wasn't there, or what. But I just felt like a couple of those times, even if they didn't throw it to him, just to fake it and just take them out deep, it may have opened up things more for a Dallas Goedert or something underneath. But that's why I get paid to do this, and Kellen Moore gets paid to call the offense. But I thought that was there. Matt also brought up the field goal in the first half. He kicks a field goal there instead of going for it on 4th and 3 or 4th and 4. We're having a different conversation, maybe. But he's right. Got to get back to that new Philly mentality, not fall into the typical Negadelphia attitude and mindset. Because he is correct. This season is not over. If you go back to the questions, the 20 questions in 20 days we did, when I did the season preview, I said the start of the season is going to be rough. I didn't necessarily think the defense was going to look that bad, but I said 2-2 or 1-3 is certainly possible in this 4 games. Didn't expect the Saints game to be one of the ones that were kind of like, oh, this is going to be a tough game. So there's still lots to fix. Hopefully they can salvage one of these next 2 games. Go into the bye 2-2. You have Sidney Jones coming back, and hopefully that will do some things and allow things to happen in the secondary. But he's right. We're going back New Philly. Going to get that hashtag going again. Hashtag New Philly. But one thing, too, I did spend some time looking at some of the replays of the game. And if we go back to the play call, the pass to Saquon that he dropped, the analytics probably said that's what you do there. I know a lot of folks were talking about, with the eye test, you do this, you don't take the chance. The truth of the matter is, the play worked. I mean, it was the right play call there. Saquon just did not catch the ball. He catches it. Nobody's even talking about this. And I know some people are out there saying, well, just because even if it would have worked, doesn't mean it's the best decision. But I don't know. I think it was the right play call, and I'm fine with it because Nick Sirianni has been aggressive his entire time here. So that plays right into that. I don't mind it whatsoever. I think even like the people saying you should have gone for it then on 4th and 3. Again, I mean, you have to believe that, I mean, percentage-wise, you go up there and you make it so they have to score a touchdown by kicking the field goal. Unfortunately, they did. So, I mean, it is what it is. I don't have a problem with it. Even and if we're being completely honest, I don't have a problem with him not going for the field goal in the first quarter. I said it at the time. It wouldn't necessarily have been my decision, but again, this is what he's done consistently. So when it works out, nobody has an issue with it. But everybody obviously is angry at Nick Sirianni because he's the easy target. He's the one. However, I'm here to tell you today, your anger at Nick Sirianni is misplaced. And here's why. First of all, again, analytics, whatever aside, I don't have a problem with those play calls because Saquon catches that ball. The whole conversation is different right now. My issue is everybody's saying that he's not a good coach, he's not this, he's not that. There was a play that was pointed out to me, and I went back and watched it. Right before that play should not even have happened. So Atlanta called a timeout, their last timeout, and then after that, and these are the things I missed sitting in the stadium, and I thought it was strange that the Eagles called the timeout right after Atlanta called the timeout, but here's why. The play was set up, and they kind of purposely ran it so it looked like they were confused and they were going to hurry up and quick snap it. They had never had any intentions to snap that before they called the timeout. They were supposed to get Atlanta, or attempt to get Atlanta to jump off sides, give them the first down, and essentially that would have iced the game. Atlanta jumped off sides. The left side of the Eagles' offensive line did not flinch to make it say, hey, they drew me now off sides. And that's why they took the timeout. Sirianni was pissed. Dallas Goedert was pissed. And it's just an interesting thing because that was probably the correct play call there. So I don't know if that influenced what he wanted to do there, but that play should have never happened. And again, you can be mad at Sirianni all you want. I'm telling you right now, it's just people don't like the dude, and that is why you're mad at him. Your anger is misplaced. Your anger should be on Vic Fangio. You're supposed to be this great defensive-minded coach. Where's the coaching? I mean, these dudes on your offense or defensive line are basically not getting off blocks. Like, they're just going in, and that's why there's no pass rush. Going back and looking at some of this film, like, and just remembering what I saw in the state, like, Kirk Cousins had a perfect pocket every time. Where's the coaching? Where is like teaching these guys how to get off? It's like a fundamental thing. Clint Hurt, where are you at? How come you're not teaching these guys how to get off of blocks? Like, they should be watching film. They should be working on it until they get it second nature. Like, I think your anger at Nick Sirianni should be sent toward Vic Fangio. And truthfully, I think it's time we start having this conversation. And this might be borderline old Philly, Matt, so I apologize. But maybe it's time to start, like, questioning Howie. And maybe these guys from Georgia just aren't that good. I mean, it's quite possible that they're just not that good. But, I mean, go back to Fangio. Yeah, guys out of position, guys not having containment on the outside. Like, to me, this is a coaching thing. And everybody wants to talk about Nick Sirianni and blah, 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 blah. Listen, it's been perfectly clear that the defense, even more so than the offense, is Vic Fangio's. So why is Vic Fangio getting a pass? Because he's old? Like that, and listen, I'm not sitting here making this. I love Nick Sirianni and blah 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 blah. However, let's put the blame where it belongs. The defensive woes are 100% on Vic Fangio and Howie Roseman, and Vic Fangio is supposed to be this great coach. Where's the coaching? Like, these guys, I mean, like, better technique. I taught kids better technique in kindergarten flag football. Like, these guys are not getting off blocks. And that's just the defensive line. I wasn't even going to get into what I saw with the linebackers and things like that. I will say, I mean, again, it's just one of those games where had Saquon made that catch or the Eagles would have stopped the Falcons, we're having different conversations. So there's the new Philly mentality. Thanks for the reminder, Matt. Because truthfully, until that last play or last drive, the defense only gave up 15 points. It's kind of bend but don't break. But from what I'm seeing, like, Vic, where's the coaching, dude? Like, coach these guys to how to do it. I think you got to get yourself, Clint Hurt, and hell, bring in Jeff Stoutland. Stoutland will give you some tricks on how to beat some things. Like, they all three need Nick. You are the head coach, the CEO head coach. You need to coordinate this and get those three minds together. And again, you have Jeff Stoutland, who's supposed to be the best in the business. Have him help give some pointers without giving away the Eagle secrets. It's just, there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up. I think it's fixable. And again, it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but this is about where we expect it. So I'm okay with it, but don't put the blame on Nick Sirianni. I mean, that's lazy. That's like the national media saying, oh, well, you booed Santa Claus. No, this is on Fangio. Like, Fangio is supposed to be this guru. You better start guruing, buddy, because these guys need to learn the basics. Again, like, I taught this in flag football for kindergarten. Like, they're not getting off the blocks, and they're giving up. They're not even making an effort. They're like, okay, I didn't beat him on the first move. That's it. That's on the coach. That's on the coach, ladies and gentlemen. And so let's. I mean, that is what it is, and I think we kind of move on. Let's recap yesterday's question of the day. I said, what's more concerning to you, the lack of a pass rush or the offense without A.J. Brown? 67% of you said the pass rush. Definitely, I mean, I think it's... I'm more concerned about the lack of pass rush. I do think the offense, like I said, like, without A.J., they need that guy, and I saw it. It was there. It certainly should not be Britton Covey. Britton Covey should not be the guy that catches. Well, he had 6 catches for like 25 yards or something ridiculous. I need to see more Dallas Goedert. Need to see Devontae Smith stretching the defense a little bit. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But that does lead us to today's question of the day in honor of Matt from Fort Washington reminded me of the new Philly mentality. We're going to test it out right here. Are the Eagles done this year? 267-495-8531. That'll get you in. I heard a lot of folks yesterday on the radio saying they're out on the season already after 2 games. And I'm not ready to say that yet because I do think there's too much talent. I do think that they can turn it around. Will they? That remains to be seen. But they certainly can turn this around after 2 games. Nobody really in the NFC is playing great other than the Saints. So I still think they might be a fraudulent team, but we'll find out. But are the Eagles done for this year? Can they turn this around? You know what? Let's frame it positively, Matt. New Philly. I like it. Can the Eagles turn this around? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. But let me know. Can the Eagles turn this around? We're only 2 games in. I'm not ready to give up just yet. All right, moving on. But Fangio, get it together, dude. Moving on to the Phillies. 5-1 win yesterday. Good, solid win. Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper both went deep. Bryce Harper's starting to heat up. This would be a good time for him to go on a nice little 2-month tear. Kind of keeping that in the back of my mind here. Zach Wheeler was outstanding. And due to the victory now, the Phillies have the tiebreaker over both Milwaukee and the Dodgers. So if they end up tied with either of those teams, they would get the tiebreaker. And again, we talked about it the other day. At this point, I don't care who they play. Give me the 1 seed so everything goes through Philly. Give me the best record in baseball. Give it all to me. Let's get greedy and just, again, it goes back to the new Philly mentality. I feel very, very revived today because I kind of going back to the roots of this podcast. But give it all to me. Let's go. And let's just roll through this thing. They are now 8 games up over the Mets, 4 on the Brewers, 2 on the Dodgers. The magic number to clinch a playoff spot, they can clinch with a win tonight. I'm not sure which team would need to lose for them. They can still clinch if they lose. But hell, let's go out, win the game, clinch a playoff spot. The magic number for the division is 4. A good chance they wrap that up later this week or over the weekend. Aaron Nola on the mound tonight. I want to see some good things out of him. Hopefully get him to clean things up and get ready for the postseason as well. But good win for the Phils. Let's just continue the roll, baby. Let's just continue to roll and keep that momentum going into the postseason. But don't let Bryce get heated. Don't let him start heating up. That's all I'm saying. Flyers open training camp tomorrow. Looking forward to that. One of the most anticipated training camps in a long time around here for the Flyers. The Union in action tonight against New York FC. Andre Blake does not look like he's going to play due to a groin injury, which really puts a hamper on the Union's playoff spots. They're 3 points out of the playoffs with like 4 or 5 games left. So every game's important. This would be a huge one if they could get some points tonight. All right, today we're going to go back to 2005. And on this day in 2005, Eagles beat the 49ers 42-3 in the home opener. This was the post Super Bowl 39 season. They had all that drama with T.O. during training camp, doing the sit-ups on his driveway, all of that. They had the rough first game against Atlanta, if you remember, when Ike Reese baited Jeremiah Trotter into getting ejected from the game. But the Eagles offense exploded this day at the Link. And this game had a little bit of everything. Donovan went 23 for 29 for 342 yards, 5 touchdowns, leading the Eagles to a 28-0 lead at halftime. I remember this game. We were like, all right, we're going to be home early tonight, making plans to go to the bar. T.O. had 5 catches for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 68-yarder. Also went over 10,000 yards for his career on this day. The Eagles set a team record for total offense in a game with 583 yards. It would later be broken in 2010, that Washington game where Michael Vick went off. Mark Simoneau even got in on the action, kicking an extra point for David Akers, who hurt his hamstring and was a little wobbly. But I do remember Mark Simoneau coming out and kicking the extra point. That Eagles season was an interesting one. They would be 3-1 before the wheels completely came off with the whole T.O. versus Donovan. Injuries caught up with them. But on this day, back in 2005, we had a glimpse of what should have been. I'm not going to say what might have been. This is what should have been. This offense with Donovan and T.O. was 100% outstanding. And it's a shame that the two of them could not get it together. I cannot put this on one or the other because both of them are equally to blame. All Donovan had to say, even if he didn't believe it, was we should pay T.O. But on this day anyway, they were outstanding. Eagles beat the 49ers 42-3. T.O. 5 catches, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. McNabb throws for 5. Mark Simoneau's kicking extra points. It was a fun day at the Link. Little did we know what was about to happen to this team. All right. Finally today, our Philly Sports Villian is none other than former Phillies manager Terry Tito Francona. And look, he's not a villain for his managerial style in Philly. He flat out sucked. And, I mean, we've seen a lot of horrible managers. Ryan Sandberg, Lee Ilya, John Felski, Gabe Kapler. Although Gabe actually, record-wise, wasn't too bad. But, I mean, Terry Francona just sucked as a manager. 285 and 363 in his 4 years in Philly. Lost 90 games 3 times. Lost 87 once. Just not a good manager. Terry Francona is a villain for what happened next. At his next stop in Boston, which to give you a little bit of background for this, he took over for Grady Little, who was fired after the 2003 season after he took the Red Sox to the ALCS. Now, Terry Francona was going into a ready-made situation. So let's not go and start beating the drum of Terry Francona being a Hall of Fame manager. He did win 2 World Series, ended the curse in Boston, blah, 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 blah. He went into a ready-made situation. That's still not why he's the villain here, though, because it gets worse. Terry Francona is a villain in Philly because he said he used his time in Philly to experiment with his managerial style, I guess you could call it. So essentially, we were Terry Francona's crash test dummies, guinea pigs, whatever you want to call it. So essentially, he screwed around, didn't take anything serious, had no idea what he was doing, but figured, hey, it's Philadelphia. Who cares? Yes. That's why you're a Philly villain. And yeah, I mean, the team sucked. He went up to Boston. I think, truthfully, I probably could have won a World Series as the manager of the Red Sox that year. But he went into a ready-made situation and basically said that he didn't care about Philly. And one thing you can't do in Philly is tell us that you don't care about us because screw you. And to his credit, he's been a solid manager. He's done some good things in Cleveland, took them to a World Series, multiple playoffs, blah, 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 blah. In my eyes, he's still a dick. So Terry Francona is today's Philly sports villain. Not so much for sucking as a manager, but for being a jerk and saying that he's experimented in Philly to get it right in Boston. If that's not the most Philly thing ever, I don't know what is. And I don't care if that's new Philly or old Philly. That's just a jerk move. On this day in 2005, Eagles beat the 49ers 42-3. Donovan McNabb throwing 5 touchdown passes, 2 of them to Terrell Owens. Mark Simoneau kicking extra points. Just a fun day at the Link right before the wheels completely fell off moving forward the rest of that season. Flyers open camp tomorrow. Let's go Union. We need those points. Let's try to sneak in and make some noise in the playoffs. Phil's look to clinch a playoff spot tonight. Playoffs. But let me know your thoughts on the Eagles. Can they turn this around? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Remember, the new Philly mentality. I like it. Thank you for the reminder. Back to basics here. And Vic Fangio, you better start teaching some of those old school, simple, very basic fundamental things to this defensive line because they're not getting off blocks. Essentially, that's what's wrong with this team. You can blame Nick Sirianni. You can blame Saquon. You can blame whoever. This is 100% on Vic Fangio. Happy Hump Day, everybody. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 18th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Remember, #NewPhilly. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.